3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome to Weather Briefing today on Wednesday, April 8th, 2015. We are, for the very first time, live on YouTube. So all of those people on the Weather Weenie list who are silent participants, it's now their opportunity to hide behind the computer once again. So hopefully those people watching will start to add to the discussion on the Weather Weenie list.
TV 14.
TV 14.
Is that the rating of the program?
This program is rated TVG. We have a general audience here. Good for kids of all ages, although it should be some heavy technical discussion. All right. We will start out with our radar composite today, and a few active weather mesoscale convective systems are evident across the Ohio Valley and mid-Mississippi Valley today. The second one just getting organized, a few convective clusters across Missouri. A nice system moving into the mid-Atlantic states today. That system is rolling there. The big weather story is going to be the evolution of not really these convective clusters, but the parent system that's hanging back over the Central Plains, and we're going to start to talk about that as we move forward in the briefing here and what it means for the weather around southern Wisconsin tomorrow, and the potential for our first big spring weather event. Visible satellite imagery today has a lot of cloudiness across the Midwest, northern plains, central plains, into the mid-Atlantic states. You could start to see a little bit of the return flow moisture evident by the increasing Q field, not only from Georgia into Tennessee, but also across good parts of Louisiana and into the Ozarks and Oklahoma as well. That moisture streaming northward. Not a lot of breaks in the clouds, but a little bit behind this initial convective system. So I would expect that we'll see some redevelopment of thunderstorms, and as the environment continues to destabilize, well ahead of this frontal system. If we go back to the water vapor picture, what we'll see is, first of all, a nice trough over the Intermountain West, and not really too much evidence of a mid-latitude, or excuse me, of a middle tropos system over the plains right now. But over the next 24 hours, that system is really going to start to amplify as it ejects out of the base of the trough. But for now, it's just mainly mountain-style turbulence, and again, that weather system should be sliding out of there. And again, another look at that trough from GOES West. A series of weather systems across the Pacific, including a weather system that's well off to the northwest of the state of Hawaii. It's a particularly low latitude weather system there. The rest, as far as the rest of the Pacific, again, we see some general troughing there, and that's closing off some of that deeper moisture from reaching the west coast. All right, taking a look at our current temperatures, we have quite the inversion across the state of Wisconsin today and adjacent areas where there is substantial low cloud and fog. The current temperature in Madison with a northeast wind is 42 degrees. The dew point is 39. That compares to the half-mile visibility and close to dense fog in Milwaukee, where it's 37 over 35. A beautiful spring day. Kenosha at 39 over 39. You get down to the Chicago Metroplex, we are in the vicinity of 50 degrees there. Warmer temperatures well further to the south, but we're going to start to back out and take a look at some of that richer, deeper moisture that will be headed our way potentially tomorrow. It will be a close call. So let's take a look at the source region here. We talked about those cumulus clouds developing, so generally those temperatures must be higher and dew points must be higher in the mid-60s across parts of Oklahoma today. And those dew points extend into the middle part of the central part of Missouri. St. Louis, 75 over 62 right now. Parts of central Illinois in the 70s, but that quickly, as we talked about, parts of northeastern Illinois, Waukegan area only in the upper 30s. So a nice spring gradient. Yes, behind that front, 80 against 57, separated by, I don't know, we'll call that 70 miles. if that.
Storms develop.
Some storms are starting to develop, evident by some lightning strikes showing up in our ASOS there. Nice day also for parts of Tennessee. 82 degrees in Nashville today. It's in the 80s in parts of Atlanta area, Georgia, Florida today. People on spring break having good temperatures in the Carolinas as well. Into the D.C. area, temperatures currently in the 40s and 50s. Looks like that ahead of that system, there's actually some warmer air, 71. I'm not sure if that system is completely surface-based. It's given its structure, I would assume, with the cold pool perhaps at least slightly elevated, although the boundary layer out in front of it is 71 over 57. That would appear to me to be some sort of a well-mixed boundary layer. I'll reserve judgment, though. Otherwise, across the Northeast today, temperatures 30s and 40s, slightly probably below normal for where we would normally expect them to be. Less interesting over the Intermountain West today. It's 62 degrees in San Diego, 70 degrees around the Phoenix area, and in the 50s around Seattle and Portland. Just a quick check on our OCONUS weather. Alaska today, we have Fairbanks this morning at 30 and 33 with actually some snow in Anchorage. Otherwise, temperatures across parts of Alaska at or above where they should be seasonally. Looking at the 250 hectopascal objective analysis of the radiosondes from this morning, again, we have kind of a broad jet stream, certainly the subtropical jet becoming difluent with the polar jet over the central part of the United States and Central Plains. So again, some opportunity for growth of extratropical weather system over the plains and upper Midwest as it ejects out of the base of the trough. If we go down to 850, what we'll see is rampant warm air advection. Yes, that is the, I believe this is the 10C line. So compared to our surface temperatures, we're actually doing a little bit better aloft this morning. And as you can tell, given some of these wind vectors, we're heading into an extreme period of warm air advection that we sometimes see in these spring months. So again, that warmer air, a lot of moisture. We've seen a number of weather systems here in Wisconsin. We had a weather system move through relatively early last night into the midnight hour. A good period of some heavy rain there.
Truex get.
You know, I didn't look at what Truex got, but we can follow that up. Over an inch of Truex, really? Wow, that
3,800 in southern Dane County.
Oh, that's pretty good. I know some people were needing the rain, and April showers bring May flowers for the
on that 850 chart.
Yeah, 850. Chris.
It's a lot of, I don't know. It doesn't seem like the moisture is that deep that's affecting into that moderate risk zone.
Yeah, certainly. I think one of the issues is you have almost a little bit of an EML coming in there. Now, maybe if we could go up to 700, and this was about six hours ago already, so things may have evolved a little bit. But I think there's at least some evidence that you have an EML, some kind of elevated mixed layer that's rolling in. I don't know as far as what if we could go back to the surface dew points, and maybe it would be better to do this in the SPC. Mesoanalysis to get a good look of where we are. So as Chris Rosoff alluded to, there is a moderate risk today. We're going to take a little diversion to just take a look at what the current environment is there, where there's a few supercellular thunderstorms already present. Let's take a look first of all. Well, this is dew point on here. In the greenish areas, we have dew points from 60 to 64 in the dark green, 64 to 68 in that lighter green color there. And obviously the position of the front quite evident. If we could go up to, let's see the best way to look at this potentially. Well, low-level lapse rates, let's start this. Let's look at a general environment for tornadoes here. So you have some low-level lapse rates starting to increase here. And
this is where the cirrus was pretty thin, or there was
right. We have the clearing. There's limited clearing out here, and I believe if you could put the day one outlook, that moderate risk was in this area, a little further north. Okay, it was in that area there. So so some destabilization is yet to occur in that location, which I guess is heavily kept. The mid-level lapse rates are good. Of course, that surface boundary is not affecting the much larger warm sector that's evident in the mid layers. So certainly areas are going to be experiencing some elevated storms, as well as the low-level jet gets cranking later tonight, probably. Yeah,
We'll look at 925 and 850.
let's just look at 850 maybe, how 850 has evolved. It's certainly, so we've got the dew points are there in the green. So advecting into this, we have a lot drier air.
There is this moist tongue coming
and a
up,
little
though.
moist tongue coming up, perhaps. It's kind of an odd analysis, I guess. I'm not sure what the source of this is, if this is just associated with this rain, maybe.
Yeah.
So it could be more of a pure drier air mass than what that is analyzed to show. At 925, 925 down low, I think we have the moisture. It's just as soon as you get up to the top of the boundary layer, there's probably an extreme EML situation going on there. And so that may be the ingredients. As far as our wind shear, let's just take a look at the 0 to 1, surface to 1 here. And definitely some evidence of good shear in the 0 to 1 down there. So directional style shear, some helicity, some supercells is going to be the story. So we don't have to just talk about today. Let's continue on with the scenario here, and we're going to first run through a few model simulations, starting with the North American model. Taking a look at the evidence, the lee side cyclogenesis. Again, we talked about that disturbance in the water vapor imagery. We couldn't quite make it out yet, but by tomorrow we'll be able to. During the overnight hours, it's going to start to form about 1,000 hectopascal low, moving from about Omaha to Madison in the NAM simulation there. Ahead of it, copious amounts of rainfall and obviously some convection, judging by the warm sector ahead of this. Depending on where it goes, it's a slight change in 25 miles even make a big difference for Madison, probably Milwaukee as well. In that regard, as you move forward through the simulation, the system kicks off relatively quickly, and a cooler day on Friday, but again, when we mean cooler for April, we're talking 50s, a quick return to the warmer temperatures back in the 60s, which should continue into next week. Again, we'll look at the GFS, slightly different, slightly more amplified, and probably as a result of that greater level of intensification, slightly to the left of the NAM track at this point, although ever so slightly, judging by this animation. That triple point.
Dubuque to Port Washington.
Yeah, that triple point sliding right overhead, and its ability to beat back the colder, denser maritime-style air, polar air that's filtering in from Canada on the northeasterlies rests in the balance there. The GFS does agree, though, that again, perhaps more pleasant conditions are on tap for this weekend and pretty much next week as well. Not overly warm, but certainly temperatures potentially in the 60s, and who knows, maybe even a couple days in the 70s in there. We won't talk too much about that today, but certainly active spring pattern appears to be in the offing, and we are well underway to begin our spring season weather here in Wisconsin.
Peek at the Euro 0Z low position at all, or no?
Let's take a quick look at the European model. This is the ECMWF at 6-hour increments, and again, watching that 1,000 surface flow, it is really close to the Madison area. So slight change to that track going to make a big difference in where the tornado potential will become evident toward us. SPC homepage, again, we talked a little bit already about the moderate risk, a large severe thunderstorm watch across central Illinois into central Indiana. Another severe thunderstorm watch, most of West Virginia actually covered in that severe thunderstorm watch. SPC is forecasting that weather system will be decreasing, moving out of the slight risk there.
No.
All right, let's move. What are we going to look? Oh, the categorical from the SPC, a 15% hatch, perhaps not surprising given the good 0 to 1 shear, the good cape in that area, yeah, that situation is evolving.
LCL, LFC, but that's going to change as the
Yes,
as it warms,
yes,
so
and give us a wind. Is the wind relatively high given the EM? Well, not really. And the hail, a little bit more higher in the hail, perhaps given the updraft strength that will be anticipated with the cape there. All right, tomorrow, enhanced risk, that's Milwaukee to Madison-ish, and points pretty much all the way through, probably to Dallas, Texas, quite frankly.
There's Dane County.
Yeah, Dane County is on the edge. Certainly a better day for severe weather in Kenosha than the Wisconsin Dells. So we are on the gradient, just depends on where that low is. Looks like the threat is going to be wind, linear system, as we'll get into in a minute when we look at our photographs, and perhaps some tornadoes on the northern side of this. We'll take a look at that. Okay, we will skip the winter tab today.
Right to skip this stuff. Go here today, or you want to go
we will do CPC. Just take a quick look here where we're headed in the extended. Looks like positive teleconnections in the NAO, and I believe positive to neutral to positive in the PNA. That tends to be temperatures at or above normal in the northern hemisphere, especially in the long wavelength pattern that we have currently. Climate Prediction Center says below normal. I am a little hesitant to say that. I would say equal chances to maybe slightly above normal, given what we're currently seeing in the operational run. That probably came out yesterday.
Yeah, the GFS like flipped.
The GFS has been changing recently. We didn't look at the ensembles today, so maybe there is some disagreement among the ensemble members. You don't think so, Justin?
No, I can pull them up.
Okay. We won't touch on it because we want to focus on the severe weather, but that's where we are. Climate-wise, let's hit Madison up. So far, it's been near to slightly above normal. Our low temperatures, we've had 4 of them for the first 7 days of the month, near normal. 3 that were above. One was particularly well above. But everything else, we've had a few days already in the 60s, one day already in the 70s here in Madison. Again, those high temperatures. Looks like normal highs near 60 degrees by the end of the month of April. So I'm not sure what happens now for our web viewers. Maybe I can try to push this over. This is risky. We're doing this on the fly.
Come out at all?
I don't.
Then we'll.
I'm trying to figure out what this is doing
I don't think
here.
that's going anymore.
I hit the other TV, I think. Am I hitting the other TV?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to go over.
We can move this TV. Let's move this TV. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay. And I will shift this one. I think we're going to get enough of it.
You think so?
Boy. Well, that's as far as it goes, I guess. I don't know. Something's holding it up. Oops, I just moved the touch screen, I think. That was an inverted.
You broke it.
All right. In any case, barely you can see it online. We'll have to work on that. But you won't be able to see my face, so sorry about that for the online viewers. So Justin stepped through this for me. Here we are at 2 p.m. We got that northeasterly flow. I want to point out, if you could make it bigger for our viewers online.
What do you mean bigger?
And you can, let's see, if you could shift it, if you could hit this button right here to make it like 60C, yeah, there, move it over a little bit. And then, yeah, move this one the other way as well. No. There you go. There, now they can see it on the TV. Okay. All right. If you could roll through this with us, you can see the northeast winds up to about 900 hectopascals. So that lowest 1 kilometer of, I like to call it marine boundary layer. That's not really what it is, but certainly the Great Lakes having an impact on that. Evidence of an elevated mixed layer, and we move forward. The easterly winds continue, but things change a little bit this evening. Temperatures first cool off, saturate, looks like we get some rain. A little bit of a nose of a low-level jet this evening. Some convection could be embedded in there. So some showers and thunderstorms. Still easterly winds holding on. That low-level jet finally kicks in around midnight. Some stronger southerly winds, southwesterly winds. Cape, here in Madison now, this is almost 400 joules per kilogram. So rumbles of thunder, not really thinking anything severe. A few people last night, at least on the west side, near west side, saw some pea-sized hail, very momentarily, right around, I believe, the 8 o'clock hour.
You had some hail in Watertown.
You had some hail in Watertown, too. It was very, very light, but melted quickly. And then we're in tomorrow morning. Now, take a look at that warm air axis, courtesy of the low-level jet. It is maximum value below 900 of 15C. So, given if that can overcome the extreme inversion that's in the lowest half kilometer of the atmosphere, temperatures will warm up quite nicely tomorrow. But will it? So we're already by noon. The NAM forecast doesn't quite get us there. You can see the winds out of the northeast ever so lightly. The low apparently just to our south. At this point, at noon, a little bit of some convection showing up in the model simulation, and then warming up in the afternoon into the 60s. It's going to be a close call. The surface winds light, but barely out of the northeast here in Madison, so the low passes just to our south. Now, the situation is a bit different if we go to Rockford. You can see the impact. Well, it's perhaps not the best time to look at, but at 3 p.m. you can see the clearly southerly flow. The temperatures around the 70 degree mark, maybe a little better than that if it's super adiabatic at the surface. Nice cape. We were looking at the Conrad system earlier to diagnose convective style, and it was a D1, D2. And I didn't know what that was earlier in the day, so I looked it up, and that is a quasi-linear system. And courtesy of moderate cape and strong speed shear, which is what we have here. So if you look at the hodograph, you can see it's pretty straight. It's got a little bit of curvature in the lowest 1 kilometer or so, but in general flattens out into what we call apparently a D structure, which is fairly good speed shear along a straight line, very little directional shear. LFCs are high, so when we talk about tornado potential, like to see those RFCs down near a little bit closer to the surface. Some of that, in terms of tornado potential, depends on previous convection, and there's going to be a lot of rain overnight, tomorrow morning. If that can't evaporate, if there's enough advective destabilization into the southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois area, that could bring the LFCs down, increase the tornado potential. Not really super great for chasing because I believe our storm motions are quite high tomorrow. Why do we not have a speed for our storm motion?
I don't know.
Apparently,
Here it is. 30 knots.
Okay, 30 knots. 30 knot storm motion tomorrow. That's pretty fast.
The
Cold front comes through. Temperatures on Thursday fall off.
Peek at GFS. Or no?
Yeah, let's take a look at the GFS. We don't have that for Rockford, but we'll look at the Madison evolution. Slightly different story tomorrow. The evolution of it tomorrow. You can see here, overnight hours, low-level jet kicks in. Actually, go back a little bit there. I just want to look at that low-level jet in the GFS. Back to maybe even midnight, if you could.
Start at 10. All right.
Yeah. The GFS not as sharp with the with that cooler air near the surface. Kind of extends it up above 900. We don't see that strong low-level jet response tonight, and I think a little less instability as a result of it. By tomorrow morning, though, things have changed. Still that easterly wind near the surface. More convective look by 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. and then the system moves past us, and you can see at that point kind of strong speed shear following the front, which is fairly typical again from the southwest direction.
Everything's just going to depend on the exact load track.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if we go and look at our cape and shear profile here, if you go back a little bit, you can see surface-based cape is kind of hard to come by, although a lot of these profiles in the model are induced by the convective parameterization. Effective shear, if we do the mile technique, moisture instability lift environment, lift, I would say, is probably the least of our worries. Shear is also quite good, especially for elevated storms. It appears that Madison, if I had to guess, is going to be slightly on the elevated end of this. The more surface-based convection is going to be to our south. It's going to be along a frontally forced line. And there's probably going to be, from our convective model, D2 was saying some storm splitting, but that was going to be more along the front. So look for a good line of echo wave pattern with some embedded supercells.
Just like I mentioned to you, the NAM and GFS MOS were both 59 in Madison, but for Janesville, GFS was 68 and the NAM was 76.
Right.
So,
I mean, the NAM is certainly racing the warm air advection up to the triple point in the low. So, you know, if that low, again, passes a matter of 15 or 20 miles, you know, we could have a quick hitter high tomorrow over the 70-degree mark in Madison. For Milwaukee, again, the lake is going to continue to try to influence that. Yeah. So, you know, even a more tenuous situation for temperature predictions in Milwaukee.
Maybe Burlington's the warm spot in Wisconsin tomorrow.
Yeah, certainly Walworth County is maybe where you want to be, as perhaps the best chance to get that. In Janesville, I would perhaps expect as well, perhaps in the warm category. But again, that window is just a few hours long before the front comes through. This warm air is going to have a tough time making much headway into this northeasterly wind regime.
Unless you want to pull up the 4-kilometer dam.
Other thoughts? Apparently, we have to update Firefox.
As always. Anything else you want to pull up, Jordan?
Not sure. Let's go to. Yeah, I can't really think of anything right now. We've got about 3 minutes left. Finished a little early. College of DuPage, a good place to get some data. Just take a look at the numerical models. Yeah, why don't we look at the NAM and look at maybe just 2-meter temperatures or CAPE just from the current run, just to see how close it gets. And yeah, sector view in the north central would be super.
What, 2-meter temps?
Perfect. Yeah, 2-meter temps, something to give us some looking at how the temperature structure evolves tomorrow. And again, there's the MSLP. Mean sea level pressure, strong gradient. There's the surface low. Here it comes. And it is going to be close. Yeah, there it goes. And that is, wherever that sits. Yeah, I mean, Madison is right there close to. You can see, again, we talked about Milwaukee. Look at the influence of Lake Michigan. Holding on to those 30s, that 35 contour is like sitting there. Just in that low is pulling those southeasterly winds. So this warm core area is going to be very, very narrow across south central Wisconsin. The good news is, again, there is some cooler temperatures in the 30s to the north of this weather system. Are they expecting snow across northern Wisconsin with this?
So interested in the severe weather happening.
I have not even considered what might be going on up there. Let's take a look at the 1-minute max helicity and forget about winter weather. For our web viewers, if you want to hear more about winter weather, you can feel free to send your complaints. I mean, certainly some evidence of some updraft tracks. Looks like the strongest updrafts, at least in the NAM here, showing up across central Illinois. Although once in a while near the triple point, you got to be a little careful because you can see some strong updraft, the fluid trapping parameter
that's
there.
What that is. Basically.
Right. Yeah, that's your triple point, and that triple point is coming right at Madison. So issue the severe thunderstorm warning now. No, don't do that.
I noticed the 4-kilometer warp produced a large complex of storms over northern Illinois earlier in the day, which influenced the model solution here significantly.
In terms of how did it influence? Just cooled it down, added moisture.
Yeah, it killed off all the cape.
So it kind of put a lot of, that cold pull was not able to wear off.
Oh, this year?
Yeah,
Chris?
it kind of tempered the convective potential.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's a real tough thing. You can see that there is, because this passage is at the peak heating of the day for Madison, Rockford, Point South, there's going to be a very narrow corridor. I mean, we're talking like we're going to get through halfway through the day and not, it might be very similar to today, actually. And then over those next 6 hours, some quick changes either here or Point South. That front comes through, and then we're back to kind of a northwesterly wind regime. So whatever happens, it's going to be what I like to call advective destabilization, which is going to be taking that warm or moist environment and just advecting it to points further north. Because I don't believe that's going to be able to occur around here. If we see sun tomorrow, it should be under 2 hours.
Close on the snow question. You have to look at profiles there.
Yeah, I don't know. Certainly there's going to be some precipitation on the backside. And given that, I would say yes. We are looking for some snow some spring snow in northern Wisconsin.
So tomorrow's the 11th?
Yeah, you can see looking for significant.
Greater than 2, greater than 4.
And the UP, north central Wisconsin, certainly 4 to 8 inches up there potentially. So a spring welcome for the folks of the Upper Peninsula. All right, well, I think with that we'll wrap it up today. Perhaps a special weather briefing tomorrow, depending on how the situation evolves. Of course, if we have a blue box, red box, we might reconvene this weather briefing to talk about the evolving weather potential tomorrow, since everybody will be looking at it. We thank our online viewers. Look forward to hearing their comments. Also thank John from TC, our trusty technical computing expert here, for setting us up on our webcam today. And of course, we thank all of our great Sims colleagues for joining us in the room and contributing to the discussion. So, last words, Chris. You going storm chasing tomorrow?
I don't know. I give it a 20% chance if it's close.
All right, Chris said a chance if it's close that he's going chasing. So, those that follow him on the Twitter, they can camp out outside his house and follow him right to the tornado.
Likely no.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we'll wrap it up today. Thank you, and thanks everybody for coming. Goodbye.